Welcome back to the F1 House. My name is Sakki. Today I'm going to be doing an F1 fan reaction to the very first championship race at Silverstone in memory of the 70th anniversary race. So this video was actually sent to me earlier on this morning and I thought let me just do a quick reaction to it because the person that sent it said it was really cool. This footage actually comes from a broadcast by BBC News, so go and check it out when you've got some time. I'm going to link it down below in the description. Let's dive straight into it.
One of the biggest traffic jams ever occurred last Saturday, when every road leading to Silverstone, Northamptonshire, was packed nose to tail for 30 miles. Eventually, 150,000 got in, including Peter Watson, who is going to tell us about the event of the day.
Yes, but I only just got in, tired and anxious, but not more anxious than
Gonna stop it there. First thing that stands out is obviously it's in black and white. The accent of the commentator is really posh. Obviously people are queuing, like you could see the amount of cars there queuing just to try and get in or get anywhere near close to the racetrack. So it's obviously very popular.
Here is motor racing history being made. The European Grand Prix, the first ever at Silverstone, honoured by the presence of the King and Queen and Princess Margaret, were greeted by the President and officers of the International Racing Authority and the Royal Automobile Club, and to whom are presented race officials and the cream of the world's drivers, including John Cobb, the fastest man on land. There are British and French and Italian and Swiss and Argentine drivers here. Yes, and Siamese too. Vera has beaten the traffic jam. And as soon as the royal party has arrived at their own special grandstand, rich in blue and gold hangings.
So that's quite interesting. It was called the European Grand Prix back then and it actually had royalty attending. So it was obviously a major event back then. It still is a major event, but it's quite cool that they actually turned up. Super cool to see that the number of drivers from different countries is still something that happened back then when the first Grand Prix were happening, which is cool. Let's get stuck in again.
Traffic jam on the grandest and noisiest scale will be lining up and ready to tear away on the first Royal Grand Prix d'Europe. Here's the circuit, one of the fastest in Europe. Just under 3 miles per lap, 4 corners and 1 bend right hand, 3 curves left hand, and all to be respected. 21 cars are now ready to lap this 70 times. They're lined up at the start, that's the bottom straight on the left there, in 6 rows. The starter's flag is raised.
Let me stop it there. The sound of those engines, it's so obviously so different to the engines nowadays. It sounds so beautiful, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not really used to hearing those types of engines. We're used to the hybrids at the moment. The track is so different to the Silverstone track at the moment. There's a lot less detail and it's just a really simplistic kind of track. So he said they're lined up in 6 rows, which I thought was quite cool. Obviously now there's about 10 rows with the current number of cars on the grids. And if you see the number of columns, there's 4 of them. Whereas now there's only the right hand side and the left hand side of the grid, which is actually, it looks like potential chaos about to happen. Jeez, the sound of those engines.
And they're away.
Imagine being there.
210 miles to go and the Alfa Romeo 158 showing from the very beginning that they have the legs. Heavy curve and is line ahead for the Alfas of Fangio, Farina, Fagioli and Parnell. And so it stays, lap after lap, while Vera's Maserati leads a howling pack behind.
The commentator talking about the Alfa Romeos, which was the dominant car of the time. They actually entered 4 cars into that race, which is insane. I mean, a lot of people joke now that Mercedes have 4 cars, because obviously the so-called pink Mercedes of the Racing Point, but Alfa Romeo entering 4 cars. It'll be interesting to see where they finish up at the end of the race.
Record crowds are settled down for a 2-hour runaway by the Alfas, and it's an enormous pity that at this first of royal races there's no real opposition, and that Britain's present weakness is so shown up.
Queenie.
Cars, I mean, not drivers.
So yeah, that's the royal box.
Fangio, the meteoric Argentine, among the 4 leading Alfas round Beckett's. They're all running like clockwork, occasionally changing places, but just a conquering convoy.
And again, the sound of those engines, actually so beautiful. I think I looked up earlier, I think they're 1.5 litre engine, 8-cylinder. Yeah, I love the sound of an old engine. Not sure it can ever come close to it again.
But Piero in 21 is to be out of luck today. Fuel trouble is waiting for his Maserati. And here is Piero packing up, the most bitterly frustrating moment for any driver.
So obviously we've got someone
that won't help now.
That's about to retire.
Lap speeds are higher than ever for Silverstone. The leaders clocking steadily between 91 and 92, the remainder in the upper 80s. But there's no question of the Alfa procession, and to match their fine cars,
91, 92 miles an hour.
Barely half a minute for refueling. Then a restart by the electric starter. And away again, with minutes to spare.
Wait a minute. You know what? I absolutely love the commentary. It's so like old-fashioned, proper British. Yeah, the pit stops, it's so like primitive compared to now. Like, there's only about 5 or 6 people, but probably even less, involved in that pit stop. If you compare that to the amount of people involved in pit stops, take Red Bull's pit stops for example, there's so much less people involved, and obviously that number's increased over time. But if you know the amount of people, the maximum amount of people that you're allowed to have involved in a current F1 pit stop, leave a comment down below in the comment section below, because I'm always learning and I'd love to know that number. Let me know.
The Alphas all refuel within 3 laps of each other, and apart from Fangio's broken oil pipe, which puts...
Let me just rewind that. This guy jumping in front of the car, like it looks like he's about to take off. Red Bull need to get in on there for some early sponsorship. It literally looked like he was about to take off there for a second. Yeah, obviously the pit stop guys get in front of the car nowadays anyway, but they've obviously got that trolley that they used to lift the car, but he was just flinging himself out there, ready to go, ready to take off, putting his life on the line, putting his trust in the driver to actually stop.
Later on, that's all they stop for. Nearing the finish now, and Farina in number 2 Alfa, he's on his final lap, and his touring posture shows just how easy it all is.
So I'm just going to stop it there. If you look at the driver there, the amount that he's moving the steering wheel, it must have been such a big task to be able to control that car back then, because cars, as we've gone on, they've become easier to drive. And this has been confirmed by many F1 drivers. You can see him, he's constantly grappling with that steering wheel to have it under control, adjust it for the conditions and reacting to the car.
It's 1, 2, 3, Farina, Fagioli, Parnell. 3 victorious Alfa Romeos who take the Grand Prix d'Europe, 210 miles at over 90 miles an hour.
So Alfa Romeo, actually, they entered 4 cars into this race and they finished in the top 3 spots, which is actually unbelievable. Like, that dominance is just incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm just thinking, if teams were allowed to enter more than the 2 cars nowadays, pretty sure that would probably happen with Mercedes cars. All 4 of them would easily take the top 4 spots because they're so far ahead of every other team on the grid, which is, yeah, it's scary. Hopefully in the next few years we can get more competition involved there. But let's just watch the end of this video. Look at these celebrations.
Giuseppe Farina, designer, engineer, and perhaps the fastest driver in Europe. But he finds this a much greater ordeal.
The Grand Prix of Europe, sono felice di essere tornato all'Alfa e di riprendere con questo auspicio le corse del 1950.
And that's it. The ability for everyone to get up so close and personal to the race cars and the drivers as well, really mingling with them, hearing every bit of sound involved. That was such a cool video. I can see why someone told me it was a must watch, and I really hope you enjoyed watching along with me. I think the biggest thing that I learned from that is how far things have come in Formula One in terms of crowd safety, overall safety, but it's still cool to look back and see how difficult it was in those days to drive an F1 car. A lot of respect to those drivers who put their lives on the line and be the first driver to win the championship in F1 and just go as fast as possible. Not that it doesn't happen now, but yeah, it's just different, isn't it? I hope you've enjoyed watching this video today. Until next time, everyone. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to ensure that you get all my latest videos.